welcome to the Retro Cranbrook Archives.
Residents of one BC community are tonight counting down the days to when the government's health care cuts throw their lives into turmoil. They live in Kimberley, and their hospital is closing later this week. That means getting health care will mean driving to another community. Catherine Pope reports.
The small town of Kimberley is starting to feel the effects of the closure of its only hospital, and along with it, some big-time pain. Meet 8-year-old Brandon Elliott, who has just learned he is losing his physiotherapist.
How does that make you feel inside now that the hospital might be closing?
Sad, because I need to learn how to walk.
Brandon has cerebral palsy. His parents believe he could walk someday if his twice-weekly physio continues.
It's just devastating, really, especially to Brandon. He's a little boy that really wants to walk.
The closest hospital is in Cranbrook, 20 minutes down the highway. But because there's no bus, the family has no way to get Brandon there after school. And they're not the only ones in trouble. This house in Kimberley is now up for sale because its owners have to move to Cranbrook to get the medical care they need.
My husband has multiple myeloma and renal failure, and he needs a hospital close, and he has to go on dialysis 3 times a week for 4 hours at a time, and it's driving back and forth to Cranbrook, and the multiple myeloma has made his back very sore, and it's very painful for him to sit and drive.
And this all happened just as Mabel was getting over her own fight with cancer, one in which she lost a lung.
I mean, he doesn't want to move. I mean, he come here in the early 50s, and, you know, this has been his home. Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Acute care in Kimberley Hospital is already gone. The entire building closes down May 15th.
Despite their best efforts, residents of Kimberley, BC have lost their fight to save the town's hospital. Yesterday was the health center's last day in operation. Staff posed for one last picture and shared their thoughts on the closure. The hospital was one of 3 BC facilities shut down by the Campbell government to save healthcare costs.
Oh, this is 23 years for me, and I feel really not only sad that these people that I work with are more like sisters to me, and same with the doctors. It's more of a family, and I'm really upset.
Over the past few months, residents and hospital staff held many protests against the closure.
Meantime, BC's doctors could begin job action as early as Tuesday in response to yesterday morning's collapse of talks with the government over fees. The BCMA will meet tomorrow to decide whether that job action will take the form of surgery cancellations, office closures, refusing on-call services, or all of the above. They've scheduled a news conference for tomorrow afternoon, and we'll have full coverage beginning on the early news at 5.
Tonight's money numbers.
Live on Global, BCTV News top stories.
The family that feels forced to move now that their hospital has closed.
Now, the News Hour.
Good evening. It has come to this. Tonight in the town of Kimberley, a young family is preparing to pack up and leave. Not because they don't want to live there, but because they can't. 1 week ago, the Kimberley Hospital was closed, and the nearest hospital is now in Cranbrook. And the family believes that the distance between Kimberley and Cranbrook could make the difference between life and death.
Julie and Darcy Letourneau are able to smile today because their 6-week-old girl is doing just fine. But that wasn't the case 10 days ago.
When I took her out of the bath, I noticed she seemed a little hot, so I brought her and sat her down and on my lap and took her temperature, and I noticed it was 101.
It turns out little Michaela was suffering from a bronchial virus, and she was in need of urgent medical care. So she was taken to Kimberley Hospital, just a short 4-minute drive away. Having a hospital so close to home saved this young girl's life.
Her oxygen level was really low, her saturation level, and she was also, her heart rate was just a beating way above what it should have been, and she also was turning blue at that point. And I found out later when we were en route to Vancouver that if I had waited and taken her to Cranbrook, that she wouldn't be here today because she needed oxygen, she needed it right away.
It terrified me because of the fact that with timing, if this had happened 5 days later, our daughter probably wouldn't be here. And
that's because on May 10th, the Kimberley Hospital shut its doors for good, a casualty of the healthcare restructuring that's going on in this province. From now on, Kimberley residents have to go to the hospital in Cranbrook, a half an hour away. Without a hospital in Kimberley, the Letourneaus aren't so sure they want to live in this community anymore.
So now we've decided that for the long term of our family, we're going to look elsewhere, that we need to move to a community where there is a hospital.
A half an hour drive, you know, can make the difference between life and death. You know, and you don't want to be running to the hospital every time something's wrong, but at the same time, you want to know that you have access to what you need.
The Letourneaus moved to Kimberley just 2 years ago and laid down roots. They bought a house and started a thriving restaurant business. But the close call they had with Michaela and the closure of the town hospital has changed all that. And though they don't want to move, they say what the Campbell government has done to their town leaves them no choice.
We have to be in a place where we matter. I think this shows that obviously people, the healthy care of Kimberley doesn't matter to the government. You know, we've got great doctors, we've got great nurses, and we had a great hospital. But they took that away, so maybe because we can't vote them out, or maybe because we can't affect the election results that much, we don't matter that much.
Before you leave, please subscribe to our channel. It will not only help you stay up to date with our videos, it will also be a nice way to show your support for the volunteers who make this project possible. Thanks for watching, and please tune in again.